Hello, welcome to Home Practice and this mini-series of translation shorts. Hello, I'm Laura. I'm a white female dancer in her 30s. I have short or shoulder length, wavy, reddish brown hair. I'm wearing blue jogging bottoms and a navy top, and I'm sat in my wheelchair in a dance studio with a wooden floor and pale blinds behind me. So in this Groundwork mini-series, we're going to be looking at translating movement. We're going to take movement from one dancer and translate it onto another dancer with a different physicality. And to do this, we're going to look at the 4 different areas of movement that I like to break it down into to see more detail of the movement and layer it up. I go into more detail with this in the first translation video. So if you haven't already watched that and you want to understand these 4 areas a little bit more, then there's a link in the description. You can press that and go and watch that video. But if you've already done that, just a quick reminder of the 4 different areas. So the first one is intention and energy or effort. The second one is spine and direction. The third one is rhythm and quality. And the 4th one is focus and detail. So if you're translating in a class setting, then you don't always have the time to go through all those 4 different areas to translate the movement. Usually it might just be 1 or 2 of those that you pick for the movement, often intention and maybe one other, and you might use different ones in different exercises. But for this mini-series, we're going to take a little bit more time for each movement, and we're going to work through all 4. So this is possibly something that's more closer to how you might work choreographically, if you've got a bit more time in the studio and you're working towards finding unity between different dancers with diverse physicalities. So the first one we're going to look at is a shifting movement. Don't worry if you don't have space where you are. You can either just watch and take notes, maybe think about what your options are. If you do have space though, do feel free to try it out, because you might come up with some different ideas and variations. There's no wrong answer. So first of all, we're going to see me shifting across the space. So I shift from one side of the studio to the other, quickly and efficiently. And we can watch that one more time, shifting quickly and efficiently across the space. So if we just take that movement at face value, then you may look at it and think, that's what Laura's equivalent of a run is. And it could be a quick shifting from A to B, getting there as fast as you can. So we're going to see Lucy's translation of that, assuming the intention, thinking about the intention, is just getting from A to B as quickly as possible. So Lucy runs across the space. So that's one version of it. That's taking just the base movement, thinking overall what is maybe the intention, what's the first thing we notice about the movement. But we're going to add on some layers now. So next we're going to think about the spine and the direction. We've already got the direction sorted, it's from one side to the other. So let's look at the spine in closer detail. So as I shift across the space, I tip forwards with my spine. So we're going to add that detail of the tip of the spine into Lucy's translation. She shifts quickly across the space, tipping forwards with her spine. So already that started to change the shape of the movement from just a standard run across the space to pick up a little bit more information. And the movements are starting to come a bit closer together. But we've got some more layers that we can look at. So we've looked at the overall intention. We've looked at the spine and direction. Next, we're going to look at the rhythm and the quality. So when we see this initial mind movement of shifting across the space, try and think about what rhythm and quality you notice. So I shift across the space, pumping the wheels. There's a real sense of pumping of the wheels as I shift. There's also the mix of the smooth glide of the wheels. So there's two kind of qualities that are happening there. You might choose to take one or the other, or see if you can do both, that kind of pump and glide at the same time. Maybe you can find a version that you can get both of those. Let's have a look at what Lucy chose to show that quality and rhythm. So Lucy shifts down low, pressing her hands into the floor and almost leapfrogging across the space. So she has that quality of the pumping in the elbows to shift across the space. And now the two different shifts are starting to look a little bit more similar. We've got the same quality, maybe the same speed happening. Then finally, we have the detail and focus. So let's watch my movement again and see what detail you can pick up and where my eyes are focused. So I shift quickly across the space with my eyes straight ahead of me. I'm going to describe that one again. I shift quickly across the space with intense focus forwards. And if you watch it again, you might notice right at the start I do a little prepare. So we'll have one more watch. I breathe in to prepare and shift quickly across the space, intense focus forwards. So if we add that now onto Lucy's movement, we'll see it develop a bit more, and hopefully that will be much more in tune with the original movement. Let's have a look. Lucy prepares and then propels across the space, pumping elbows, focus forwards. So now, if we look at those two, that final version that we have of Lucy's translation that included the intention, the spine and direction, the quality and rhythm, and the focus and detail, if we look at that together with my original movement, we'll see that they should be a lot closer together and also a lot more interesting movement. Let's watch them together. So hopefully you'll have seen by working through that process, you can start to pick apart movement, and instead of just seeing it at face value, what you initially think maybe the movement is about, you can start to find a bit more interesting things in there, things that help draw the movement of different people with diverse physicalities together to find a bit more unity. And this doesn't have to only happen in one direction. It could, the idea of translation, it can be from any body type onto another body type with different physicality. And you can also have a bit of a conversation. So something that you learn from translating onto one body, you might think is maybe an interesting detail or something useful that might then go back onto the original person, the original mover, and they might develop their movement a bit more. This is a process that we used a lot when we were creating Artificial Things. And you can see in the film version of Artificial Things, at the end, there's a section that we call chicken section, and that came from translating my movement, the propelling across the space, and we noticed that I did a kind of little chicken move with my chin. So that was something, the information that we took and the other dancers took on and embodied. And you can see lots of different bits of translation happening in there. And there's different ways of translating. So there's not one right answer, one wrong answer. It's whatever works for you when you look at those things. So hopefully that was a helpful insight into how we translated some movement in choreography. There are 3 more in this mini-series of translation shorts, so do keep watching and subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with all our videos, and remember to like the video if you found it useful. Thank you very much. See you soon.